Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining us from around the world. I'm Tom Gaudet, an applications engineer with the product management group at Kepware. Today we'll be discussing KepServer EX version 5.21 release. This will be a relatively short presentation because of the focused nature of this release. This will leave us plenty of time for questions and answers at the end. This webinar is being recorded and will be distributed to all registrants along with a PDF of the slide deck. It will also be posted at our webpage at kepware.com/support/videos. For those of you interested in more webinars from Kepware, visit our Training Spotlight page on LinkedIn. Today I'm accompanied by applications engineers from other departments, including Joanne Bacharach from Training and Mike Latham from Product Management. I'm also joined by Eric Dillinger. He is the manager of Kepware's IoT solutions and is also managing Kepware's IoT Alliance program, where he is working with software, hardware, and system integrators. He'll be talking about the new functionality of version 5.21 before I share a demo. Eric?
Thanks, Tom. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Some of you already know us very well, but for those of you new to Kepware, I will run through the Kepware prospectus and our flagship product. I'll also cover some new information, some reasoning behind Kepware's investment into the Internet of Things and the ThingWorx IoT platform. Then I will dive into kind of the latest release, and then Tom will take it back over and do a nice product demonstration for you. All right, let's get started here. Kepware was established over 20 years ago with the mission of developing connectivity solutions for various industrial markets, including manufacturing, oil and gas, building controls, and power utilities, just to name a few. Earlier this year, we were acquired by PTC. PTC is a global provider of technology solutions and the world's leading IoT platform, ThingWorx. Hopefully you've heard of them. And I'll talk a little bit more about ThingWorx as this presentation goes on. A majority of Kepware's 120 plus employees are located here in Portland, Maine, our headquarters. We do have a strong global representation through our preferred reseller channel. KepServer EX is Kepware's flagship product and the industry's leading solution for connecting your industrial assets with over 150 communication drivers. These 150 communication drivers support upwards of 300 protocols commonly found in the various industrial markets that we serve. In short, it manages the connectivity and data translation of your industrial assets. It provides data access to applications like ERP, MES, HMI, SCADA, and now as well as IoT platforms like ThingWorx and others. Again, over the past 20 years, our development strategy has been to develop the world's best connectivity solution for the industrial market, and this focus really has not changed. In fact, we're even more focused on expanding our offering around connectivity. If you're a longtime Kepware customer or partner, you may have noticed a shift in our messaging in recent years from being an OPC server to a connectivity platform. As we transitioned from being just an industrial automation company to an industrial automation and IoT company, we really looked at our mission statement, which supported this effort in really changing our messaging and supporting applications like ThingWorx and other IoT platforms, and really kind of our move into the Internet of Things. So, we evaluated the Internet of Things, what the need was for industrial connectivity, and during that research, it was clear interoperability was going to be the biggest challenge within the IoT market. We took a look at where the market was going, what our technology partners were asking for, and what our customers' biggest connectivity challenges were, and how could we best solve those. Kepware and KepServer EX, was very well positioned to solve this IoT interoperability problem in the market. So. Our development strategy is really no different than what our industrial automation strategy was 20 years ago. our strategy is to develop commercial off-the-shelf communication drivers for industrial assets and then enable any application that wants access to this data. So, as IoT, big data, analytics, these types of applications have made their way into the industrial space, Kepware, we quickly recognized that OPC was not a prevalent or even known protocol to these application developers. So we needed to support other APIs and protocols, standards like MQTT and REST. So traditionally, we've had HMI, SCADA, historians, MES, applications consuming this industrial device data. Their primary method for collecting this was through the protocol OPC. These applications that were consuming Kepware's OPC data were really purpose-built, and they did a great job of giving you a commercial off-the-shelf solution that you could just buy and get started. Now, as we look at IoT platforms, we see that they're taking a different approach to solving these application requirements. IoT platforms were developed to support the software developer. They allow you to develop your own custom solutions and take an iterative approach to developing and deploying your visualization or analytics. They are extensible, meaning you can grow your application as needed. They allow you to easily model your data and then mash it up with other data from other sources. And I'll transition into ThingWorx. Again, IoT platforms like ThingWorx allow users to really take a new approach to applying modern software technology. It can be cloud, on-prem, mobile, big data, analytics, or even social. It is worth mentioning that ThingWorx can be applied to existing environments to leverage your existing assets or investments. This does not have to be a rip and replace or an all or nothing type of solution. ThingWorx' goal is really to create applications that enable collaboration between people, systems, and assets across the entire value chain. In short, the ThingWorx platform allows users to connect to virtually any device or sensor, provide analytics on those connected assets. They provide a rapid application development tool that enables innovators and developers to build and deploy enterprise-class IoT-ready solutions. And they bridge the digital and physical worlds in a whole new way that changes the way users really experience things. If you're wondering where you can utilize the ThingWorx, within your company, the ThingWorx platform can solve virtually any use case. If we take a look at the top business cases that LNS Research put out in a recent report, we can really just put a check mark next to all of these. Remote monitoring, check. Asset reliability, check. Business model transformation, check, and on and on. As a real-world example, a company called HeroTech has successfully applied both Kepware and ThingWorx to their IoT strategy. If you don't know who HeroTech is, they are a global tier 1 automotive supplier. They've had they've had many ideas on what they could develop within their IoT strategy. However, they recognize that IoT as a concept is fairly new, and like many organizations, they were going to be cautious when it comes to a large investment within their IoT initiative. So HeroTech took a slightly different approach, and they started small. They used an agile and iterative approach to developing their solution. By doing so, they were able to quickly realize improvements in visualization and scheduling of their CNC machines. By showing success with a small project, now they can expand the Kepware and ThingWorx solution in other areas of their manufacturing environments and facilities. Now that we have a little bit of a background on ThingWorx and kind of IoT platforms, we want to kind of talk about our version 521 release. This, as Tom mentioned, was a very focused release. First and foremost, we developed a new native client interface to the ThingWorx platform. The release also includes 18 different updates to 11 drivers, plugins, and core components of KEPServer-EX. The primary fix being an update from the OpenSSL Foundation, where they fixed a security hole. This fix really only impacts our OPC UA client driver and our OPC UA interface to KEPServer-EX. With this year's acquisition, into the PTC family, Kepware, we recognized that we needed to have the best connectivity into the ThingWorx platform. So what we created was a really tightly integrated solution utilizing the ThingWorx always-on protocol. In particular, we need to make sure that the ThingWorx OPC solution would meet kind of the quality requirements that everyone's come to expect from Kepware. KEPServer-EX is going to be the preferred method of moving OPC data into the ThingWorx platform, which includes, if you look at OPC in general, the OPC Foundation has 450 members, approximately 450 members. So that gives us access, gives ThingWorx access to those third-party applications. It will also allow us to move, the 150 drivers that we have, move that data as well into the platform. Just note that this solution is automatically installed with KEPServer-EX and is included at no additional cost, so you can really get this thing up and running fairly quickly. There are several configuration and runtime settings that are going to allow you to optimize your communications between KEPServer-EX and the ThingWorx platform, including security through certificates and authentication, integrated error reporting and handling. It supports read and write capabilities and has some advanced data rate settings. Once KEPServer-EX is configured and connected to ThingWorx, we can utilize this new Kepware developed ThingWorx extension. This extension can be found on the ThingWorx marketplace. It's also included within the install of KEPServer-EX. But essentially what this will allow you to do is start browsing and adding tags to your ThingWorx instance or your ThingWorx application. So that's really the core of it, but before I hand it back over to Tom so he can run through a more detailed demo and take a deeper dive into some of this functionality, I did want to thank everyone for attending, and please feel free if you have questions after to reach out to myself or Tom, and with that I'll pass it over to Tom to run through the demo. Tom?
Thanks, Eric. Before we get into the demo, I'd like to just really quickly get a little feedback from the audience that we have here today. First off is we're wondering if you are currently using Kepware software, so I'm going to keep this open just for a couple moments for you to answer that for me, and that would be great if you did. And I have one more just before we kick off into the demo of the new functionality of version 521. All right. Looks like most of you have voted this time. I appreciate that a lot. And the next question is a little more to do with your future plans and specifically your experience with KEPServer. Most of you did say that you were already using Kepware software, but now I'm wondering how much experience you have with that. Are you a super user, a beginner, or somewhere in between? Thank you all for getting some quick votes in. I do appreciate that a lot. This helps us guide our future webinars and tailoring them to the audience that we tend to see here. So thank you again. So let's get into our demo here. I'm going to bring up a virtual machine. I have KEPServer-EX version 521 running in. When I open the server, you're gonna notice that it's very similar to what you've seen before. In fact, it's identical. So I'm just going to bring that up, and what we're going to focus on is the connection to ThingWorx and how that's set up. We're going to find that in project properties like the rest of our interfaces and native interfaces associated with your projects. Here you're able to enable, set up security, dictate the specific platform, and some other items. And we're going to go through these in detail so you can see what's going on. We're obviously going to go ahead and connect our ThingWorx instance. I am hosting this locally, so we're going to keep that, but I've decided with my setup that I've got no need for security, so I've only set up an unsecure ThingWorx server here on this item. The other thing you're going to need is an application key from ThingWorx. This application key is used to ensure the data, the connection coming into ThingWorx is accurate, and you set this up from the ThingWorx platform, so we're going to have to jump into that really quickly and show you what that looks like. This ThingWorx Composer that I have here is a brand new installation with essentially nothing on it so far except for my username. And to add the security of that application key, I'm going to have to obviously log in and scroll down for our application keys. So these application keys are quite simple to set up. I'm going to do this for our demo, and I'm going to give it permissions of the administrator, just so that this data can get to wherever I need it to be within the ThingWorx platform. Once I save that, it'll automatically generate a key ID, and I'm going to copy and paste that into KepServer. Once that's done, I also have to choose a specific security that's going to go along with this connection. Because I have an unsecured server running for ThingWorx right now, I need to trust self-signed certificates, all certificates, and including disabling encryption. All three of these possibilities are available for your ThingWorx platform, so when you set that up, it'll be dictated by the user or your integrator setting the ThingWorx platform up. Next up is the platform and the thing name that we're going to be joining in on. For this one, I'm also going to do demo. You can see that I previously used this with a training class here in Portland. The important thing about the thing name in ThingWorx is that that must be the particular thing name that you use in ThingWorx. So I'm going to copy that to use later when I paste that into the ThingWorx platform. It does have to match exactly, including capitalization. As we move down the settings, we run into data rates. These are the default scan rates associated with items that will be scanned by the ThingWorx platform or requested by the ThingWorx platform and sent up by KepServer. This is a default scan rate, and I'll show you in just a little bit from the ThingWorx side where you can put in a scan rate for individual items, and that scan rate will override this default. We also have the choice to send every scan, which is an option for you, as well as a publish floor. And that publish floor is a minimum. If you're requesting lots of data, we will send data faster than that 1 second that's dictated here, but we'll send at least every second. Included with the ThingWorx integration, we've also allowed you for the purposes of determining where your connection issues might be from. We've also included the ability to do some verbose logging from the SDK that we incorporated for the connection. This logging is quite verbose and can send lots of information into your event log, and so we recommend that during production and any other time that you're not actually doing diagnostics on this, that you keep that off. So now we've got some settings going on in here to connect to our ThingWorx platform. I'm going to go ahead and apply those, and in the background here we should see our connection. Let me adjust this for your viewing pleasure, and we'll see that we're connected to the ThingWorx platform localhost with that ThingWorx name KepServer EX. The settings for KepServer are all done, but now it's time to set up the ThingWorx side to gather more information. And we're going to import a thing template that we've created for KepServer EX that's going to allow for specific services in the ThingWorx platform that'll make browsing and adding items much easier than just through the standard ThingWorx settings. To do that, we're going to import an extension. And the location of that extension is actually going to be installed with your KEPServer EX version 521 instance, and it is with the rest of the utilities that are located with KEPServer when you install it. They're under Program Files, Kepware, KEPServer EX5, and Utilities. You'll see this extension here, the KEPServer EX extension for ThingWorx, and we're going to choose that. Selecting import, we get validation that it has been it's a valid packet as well as installed appropriately. And when we refresh the composer, we'll see we have a whole new selection of data shapes, thing templates, and within those plenty of services to help us add information into ThingWorx from KEPServer EX. Now, to make the connection final, we need to add the thing that is going to be our KEPServer EX thing. And again, I'm going to paste in my KEPServer EX thing name that we used on the KEPServer platform. And the thing template we're going to use is the remote KEPServer EX thing, which is a template that was imported with our extension. You obviously can add your own description and so on and so forth for this particular thing, but we're just going to save that and get that going and look into first off properties, and you'll see that we don't have any specific data coming in from the ThingWorx or from KEPServer platform into ThingWorx. But we'd like to find those data points as well as import them and bind them to properties here on the platform. So we're going to go into our services and look at the various services available to us from ThingWorx, including the ability to do some browsing. If we start off by just testing this Browse Groups area at the root level, we'll see that we see the standard root responses just like an OPC browser. So this is designed specifically for this. These items that I'm going through for testing these services is a very rudimentary, basic way to test these services and get information back. Most of these calls are being done in the background using REST calls, and when you implement a mashup or any other product accessing information from your ThingWorx platform, you'll actually design them to use the REST calls in the background and not use this slightly more clunky way of getting information. Within after browsing groups, you can also browse items, and since that sim demo I have set up on my KEPServer instance, I know that there's a channel 1 and device 1 there, and we can take a look at the items available, and you'll notice that we have tag 1 and tag 2. We have the full path location for them, the data type in KEPServer. This base type is the data type that's going to be used inside of ThingWorx, and I'm going to show the use of that when we go ahead and add this item. We're going to add that tag 1 because it is a ramping tag, and we'll see some data changing as we refresh the page. So we're going to add that item. To add the item, we need to add the requirements for an info table, where we'll see initially the ability to lock it into read-only mode within the ThingWorx platform. Next up is the scan rate, so we can override the scan rate of the default scan rate that's put into the project properties in KEPServer. So let's do every 500 milliseconds. A description if we choose, and this is where that base type of integer comes into play. And then the source type needs to be the data type within KEPServer. We also give the options for persistent and logging. Persistent ensures that the last value in the ThingWorx platform for this thing maintains over any reset of the thing itself. Logging allows ThingWorx to keep a record of previous values, and I'll show you an example of that logging working within the ThingWorx platform. The source is going to be the fully qualified name for the channel end device and tag. So channel1.device 1.tag1, and the name is going to be the name within it's going to be the name of the property in ThingWorx. I'm going to call that tag1 for this case. So we'll click Save, and then we're going to execute that service. And we get a response with a transaction ID. The fact that we got a transaction ID indicates that that was completed. And if we go and refresh our KEPServer EX thing, we can view under the properties that property is now associated with ThingWorx and bound to our location within KEPServer. And you see we already have an initial value come through. As we update, we'll see values increasing. So as I mentioned, we've got a selection of services here to get and set the configuration. If we get the configuration, you'll see the information associated with some of the settings on the KEPServer platform. And if we set the configuration, we'll do next. We're going to change the server description to best demo, just for fun, and execute that. And if we slide back into KEPServer EX and open up our project properties, we'll see that that propagates down to the KEPServer instance. So as I mentioned earlier, this is a pretty rudimentary way to make some changes to the ThingWorx platform. Most integrators and individuals setting up and connecting to ThingWorx with KEPServer are going to do it through what we call a mashup within ThingWorx. And I'm going to show you a mashup that was done by a couple of PTC sales engineers along with myself making some changes. And this is going to be looking at a slightly different KEPServer instance I have set up, but it's a quick and easy way to go and browse the namespace associated with KEPServer. You'll see that this area here creates a tree using progressive browsing, and we can see all of the namespaces available just as if you were browsing OPC data. I'm going to come down and grab a function, one of my favorite functions here. This is the ramp tag of SimDemo. I'm going to map that tag, and if I refresh my auto-created remote properties and my auto-created ThingWorx properties, we'll see that that is locked in and going. Now, this area on the right here is a way to enable or disable logging for selected ThingWorx properties, and it's just some functionality they added within that. I can update the value if I choose a different tag and change the value. So if I go back to that channel 1, device 1, tag 2 is going to, well, we'll take tag 10 just for fun here. I'm going to map that one, refresh it out, and through that I can update that integer to say 10, update it, and refresh it, and we should see that value propagate through, and there it is. The property value is propagated to that particular tag. Obviously, over here on the right, we can also see that we've connected to the KEPServer instance. So this is a very simple mashup that can be used, or an example of what can be used for ThingWorx. Having the logging going on, it looks like my logging is a little bit off today. There we go. As I refresh, that particular ramp tag cycles from 20 to 100 in increments of 4, and by implementing logging, we have a simple log graph here of that data. So that's the long and the short of the integration between KEPServer EX version 5.21 and ThingWorx. I hope that this was a decent example for you, and we'd love to continue to answer any questions as you have them on the line. We will stay on the line for a little bit, but I do have another poll question for you, if you don't mind answering that for you. and we'll start that up right now just for a minute, and we'll be monitoring some questions as they come in. So thank you all for answering the poll question. I do appreciate that. I have a question here from Bronco asking about dynamic tags with this. And the answer is yes, we do support dynamic tags through this interface. It's important that you know your data type for the specific dynamic tag and the address space on the device. Where you saw me input channel 1, device 1, tag 1, you could instead put channel 1, device 1, and for that particular device like an R002, and that would give you a ramping tag for that particular one. So dynamic tags are available for you there. I think that is pretty much all we have for you today for the webinar. We are going to stay on the line answering some questions that have been coming in through the answer pane, or through the question pane. And other than that, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day.